Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge, and welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. I'm back in the sanctuary, got my new haircut that I'm loving every day because I don't have to untangle my hair and throw a bunch of hair away and all that crap. So pretty happy to go into this kind of warrior mode with my head shaved right now. I'm wearing a Village Lansing t-shirt, and I saw Michael Lynn posted yesterday a sweet hashtag ceasefire Lansing. So, you know, if you're carrying your gun around, just leave it home for a day or something like that. Let's take a break from the guns and the violence that's happening. And I also want to give a shout out to thisent.com, who's doing some summaries for me and curating some of the data and doing summaries of episodes and whatnot. And then 517living.com, we've got a week worth of Every Damn Day scheduled out and putting them on their calendar. So if you ever want to see who's coming up in the show, then go to 517living.com and check it out. Check out all the other events that are happening in the 517 too. And then there's always thefledge.com/events if you want to see what's happening at the Fledge specifically. So now on the show, I have my very new friend. Just met you, not 15 minutes ago. How you doing today, Melanie?
Fantastic. It's so nice to meet you, and thank you for having me here.
Yeah, for sure. So what you been up to today?
Oh, today I've been, I had my granddaughter spend the night last night, which was amazing. She's 3, and she's the cutest thing you've ever seen. She got to meet a real live unicorn last night. She had a photo shoot. And so she spends the night at my house on Monday nights. So we just kind of wake up together. I block off Tuesday mornings just for, her name's Aria. And so we've had a good time this morning.
I had my 2 grandsons last night, and my granddaughters are coming tonight. So I'll have all 4 of them until Friday night. And that's weird, huh? Having grandkids.
It's awesome. It's the best. I love it.
It's I thought, you know, I loved my kids so much and all that, and I still do, but these grandkids are, I don't know, it's special. It's something, I don't know, it's weird to me, but my oldest one is like 14. Mm-hmm. So I've had them for a while.
Yeah.
But
we're older and wiser. And when we were raising our kids, we were probably tired and stressed and trying to do everything the right way.
Yeah. And we're like allies. We're not really accomplices, right? We get to say, here, take these back.
Yeah.
So let's get into you a little bit. Where were you born and raised? Where'd you go to school? What brought you to being a coach?
Yeah, I grew up in Portage, Michigan. Graduated from Portage Central High School. Go Mustangs. I love that area. It's a beautiful area. There's so much to do. We're only like 40 minutes from Lake Michigan, South Haven. I spent many a summer at South Haven. Then I went up to northern Michigan to go to school for a year and ended up in East Lansing. And that's where I've just been since then, over 20 years now, or close to 30.
30 years in East, or well, you're in Holt now, right?
Yes.
Holt-ish.
Yeah.
So Portage, huh?
Yeah.
Latora. You know that name? Tony Latora, Andy Latora, wrestlers.
I think I know a Joe Latora. Is that
Joe Latora is their dad? Or wait, no, he might be their little brother. Is he our age? I think you and I are close to the same age.
His name is familiar, so maybe. And like, is that a famous person or is that someone I went to school with? You know how sometimes you're like, wait, I know I've heard the name. Yes, I think so.
Yep, I think the little brother's named Joe. now that I think that through. But I wrestled my whole life, and Portage Northern, Portage Central, always wrestling them in like the regionals. And then I went to U of M and wrestled with Tony, who's the older brother, so long ago.
My dad was a wrestler. He says he wrestled. That's how he says it. He wrestled.
Well, we're bringing wrestling back. We do big time wrestling here at the Fledge, and it'll be back July 17th or something. Don't write that date down because I've got it wrong. I know, but talking to the crowd anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, was he a pretty disciplined guy, your dad?
Yeah. He was he went into the Air Force. And so he spent some time there. I got to see him this weekend. They usually spend their winters in Florida and come home for the summer, but they didn't come home last year. I don't know why. I don't know why anyone didn't travel last year. But anyway, I finally saw them for the first time since Christmas of 19. And so it was really nice to have them come visit on Sunday, my dad and my mom.
Yeah, that's great. I went up to Drummond Island. That's where my dad lives now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my friend Jeep's there. So it's pretty cool.
There were 400 Jeeps on the island while we were up there. We were worried about getting blocked, so we couldn't get on the ferry, but we made it off.
You're like those damn Jeep people.
Yes. Yes. Don't lead me into politics either, because I could talk a lot about Drummond Island right now.
All right.
So, what'd you do after? So you said you've been East Lansing Holt for the last 20 years. Were you always a coach, or did you do something before that?
So I started out. So if anyone is from Portage or knows Westlake Drive-In, I started at like 15 working at Westlake Drive-In, which was the best job in the world when you're that age. And so from then I worked in restaurants and bars up until I started having my first kids. And so I worked here in the area at a lot of different places. Harrison Roadhouse, which actually I went to on Sunday for our lunch with my parents. But
did you have a Bloody Mary?
I almost did, because the best Bloody Marys are so good. So that was one of my favorite places. I worked in the area. I worked in a lot of different places. So then, I ended up getting married, and I became a stay-at-home mom, which was amazing for about 10 years. And then we opened a drive-through espresso cafe here in Holt, and we were open for about a year. And I could say it's a failure, but it wasn't a failure. We closed our doors. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience. I met some of my best friends that I still have now to this day, and just learned so much opening my own cafe. And then after that, I got into real estate. So I've been in real estate for about 12 years or so.
So let's go back to that word failure.
Mm-hmm.
You said it wasn't a failure, but you closed.
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't it a failure? I'm setting you up, by the way.
No, I love it. I love it. I mean, it's all about failure is simply a thought, right? You get to decide if something's a failure or not. And really the only failure is if you don't keep trying, if you just give up. And I don't want to say I gave up on that. I accomplished that. But if I looked at it, we all have stories about our past, right? Our past is simply a collection of thoughts that we have about it. So just looking at it, like, that was an amazing experience. I learned a lot. I grew as a person. I met a lot of amazing people in doing so. Actually, a few of the people just went through my mind. Probably one of them's watching. Hi, Tom. And when you think about something as a failure, it creates a feeling of like defeat within you, right? So then you don't go out and try new things. I talk about failure all the time in my business, like failing forward. Be willing to fail. Be willing to go on a live interview show with someone you just met and talk about your life. Super fun.
So, the setup sort of worked because, first of all, we say fail forward fast around here all the time. It's what's his name? Peter's, one of these gurus that writes books and all this. His Center of Innovation. I don't know. I can't think of his name right now. But the other thing is we say succeed or learn. So there's always a lesson there. And if you keep that attitude, then it's easy. It's not failure. It's fun to me.
Yeah, so fun. Life is a journey.
Yeah. So now with so you're still doing real estate. Is that true?
I have a partner. I'm an associate broker with Community Realty, and I work with a partner, and she does a lot of the transactional. She does a lot of the things like that. So I'm still doing real estate, and I added in coaching. Coaching's more of my full time now. And I say I help people lose weight for the last time, which includes the physical, mental, and emotional weight. And I just help people inspire them to live bigger lives.
Is it mostly around weight loss?
Actually, that I speak to people because I know from my experience back when I was up and down the scale and all over with my weight. I don't know if we're at that part yet, but that's kind of what brought me to coaching was the emotional suffering. I just spent every day like suffering through every day.
We are at that part.
Okay. Yeah. So in 2016, I was diagnosed with stage 3 triple negative breast cancer. And at that point, a lot of circumstances, everything in my life changed. And I learned a lot through that. And coming out the other side, I realized I needed some help. Like I say, I know I didn't need therapy because I think I was okay. I did a little bit of therapy, but I didn't realize until I found life coaching that was exactly what I needed. I came across a podcast called The Life Coach School with Brooke Castillo. So anyone out there, if you have any kind of, I want you to go to that podcast and start listening to it. And so I started realizing what was going on inside of me. I thought my circumstances, so many of us blame our circumstances for the way we're feeling. And I call that a thought error. And when we realize, I'm not feeling defeated because of my job, or I'm not feeling frustrated because of what this person said or did, or I'm not feeling worry because there's a pandemic. It's because of the thoughts that I'm having. And it doesn't mean that we're always supposed to be happy. In fact, I teach that life is supposed to be 50-50, right? We want to embrace all the human emotions. And it's the resistance to feeling any kind of sadness or suffer, or whatever that causes that emotional suffering. And so I found, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, you can get into that future part. I know we prepped a little bit, but we can talk about that. Also, you don't have to save it till last. Is what I'm saying.
I just started talking. I'm like, I'll just keep talking. I could talk about this stuff all day.
Yeah, keep doing it. So I'm sorry I interrupted you with because I almost said something. Sorry. No. But go ahead and keep going.
Okay. Yeah. So I realized what we do, most of us humans do this, is we want to avoid feeling any negative emotion. So we overdrink, we buffer. I call it buffering. So we overeat, or maybe we overdrink, or maybe we chill out with too much Netflix when we want to be doing something else, right? So we call it a lot of these buffering activities. So I realized where all of this overeating was coming from, and my thoughts about my weight and how I looked. That was all it was thoughts. Like I thought it was a circumstance that maybe I looked terrible, or whatever it was, or that I had no willpower. So when I finally understood the number one skill that we don't learn when we're through life, or when we're trying to lose weight or whatever, is when I learned that skill of allowing and processing negative emotion, I was able to eliminate urges, desires for overeating, and I tapped into my future self, who thinks and feels. I work with future selves with my clients, so we build their future self, and I say, okay, now what is she thinking, or he? I have male clients as well. What are they thinking? What are they feeling in their daily lives? And we'll talk about that. And I say, okay, now we need to embrace those thoughts now. We need to feel that feeling now. Not restriction, not deprivation, I always say you can't hate your way thin, but you can, but it's not sustainable and it feels terrible. So we want to love ourselves. So I work on a lot of self-love and self-confidence.
I love thinking about that future self, that investing in your future self, that changing your future self, that decision you make today and how it impacts the future self.
Yeah.
I love that whole strategy. How is that a metaphor that really resonates with people?
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes it takes a while because they think this is like some future self that someday that it's like, oh, you'll wake up and you'll be like, oh, now I'm my future self, right? No, we want to learn to really embody that future self now. Like what is your future self? Maybe she's at a certain weight. And as we work together, I think a lot of my clients start to decide, oh, I don't really need to lose weight. Most of us want to lose weight because we think we'll feel more confident or we'll feel better. But you have to feel that way now. So we work on stepping into that now. And so it's a process. So you don't just wake up one morning and maybe you want to be that, $100,000 earner or $1 million earner. When you reach that milestone, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's good because you've already stepped into that self. You're already thinking and feeling that way. So it's not like this futuristic thing.
I had someone who's dealing with substance use on the show. She's 4 years clean, and she wants me to call her an addict, so I'm going to use that word. And she said that as an addict, it's you can have a drunken horse thief, and you take that addiction away, you still have a horse thief. And it's the opposite of what you're saying, because she was talking kind of in the negative. You're talking in the positive, I think. Yeah. But it's like, the social ills sometimes are the symptom to everything, right? It's not what's really causing it. It's something I'm missing inside that might make me want to drink or use or whatever, or that might also make me sabotage myself.
Yes, exactly. And that's the word I use, is symptoms. I have a class I teach, and overweight and overeating are simply symptoms of one of two causes, or a combination is overhunger or over desire. Overhunger has to do with our hormones and the foods we're eating and the things, and then the other, over desire, is our, these uncontrollable urges that we've trained our brains, right? It's the belief systems we have as a society around food, like birthdays equal cake. If you're not eating, what's wrong? Why aren't you eating? Why aren't you having dessert? Those kind of things. And our inability to manage our emotions. And that's just it. Like, we have an urge and we think we have to eat, or if we're feeling sad or frustrated. I mean, how often are you working and you're like, I think I want to go get a snack, because you just kind of want to avoid something. So a lot of it's just working with my clients on that.
So a couple of things got me thinking when you were talking in the last little bit. One is people often say, well, their hormones or whatever, they can't lose weight. That's how they're going to be. It's their hormones. They might have always been like this or whatever. Do you consider that a truth or a myth? Or, I don't mean to be negative towards anybody who might, have what do you think?
I love that question, because we can certainly address the hormones and how they're balanced. But here's the thought. They're thinking, this is always the way I've been. Then they're going to create a feeling of, I use the word defeat again, like a feeling of just defeat, like hopelessness, right? I've always been this way. They feel hopeless. And when you feel hopeless, what do? You probably go eat. Maybe you don't, choose foods that fuel your body, right? So I teach a thought model where we have a circumstance and we have thoughts about that, which create our feelings. It's the truth of the universe, right? This is not new. Our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings drive all of our actions or inactions, which of course create our results. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling loop, right? I've always been this way the result's going to be you're going to stay that way. Now, if you're feeling, more hopeful, like if the feeling is hopeless and you want to say like, it's possible that I could lose weight, right? Then you maybe feel some like motivation, determination to figure it out. Like, I can figure this out. Maybe go get your hormones checked, or maybe call a coach and, see if a coach can help you through whatever's going on for you internally.
Yeah. I had a gentleman on the show about a week ago who lost a lot of weight through a fitness coach, a gym that he was going to. And he said the very first thing the guy told him to do was to get his water right. Just start drinking water and get that right first. And I'll talk to you in a month if you do that.
Yeah. Start with the basics: water, sleep, right? I teach about planning ahead of time because I do a lot of brain science. We've got a primal brain who those urges, the brain wants to, seek pleasure. I have a whole class on it. We can talk about it later, but, we're designed to seek that pleasure. And so we're eating the foods and avoiding pain, which means avoiding emotional pain nowadays, right? And so I love that. Just start with a basic. I teach a 1% level up. Every time I meet with my clients, I'll say, what do you want for your 1% level up this week? It's just small. When we're in a hurry, like we talked about future self, if you're in a hurry to get to that future self, I'm going to ask you why. What are you feeling now that you want to get away from?
So have you studied addiction?
Not addiction per se. Through my life coach school, I've gone to, that was one of the things I did last year. Jerry, I love how you mentioned that, like the little steps you can take. Like 1 year ago, I had just started my first life coach certification. And then I entered my second life coach certification at the life coach school. And we talk a lot about, like addiction, like how changing our habit brain can prevent us from getting down that road. So I help, like, first of all, I started with myself. I used to drink more than I would have liked to. And a lot of it was because of the emotional component. And when I teach a system with urges, how to decondition those urges, right? So we get to that point where, like, we think about, like, if you, I don't know, if you don't smoke, let's say you're someone who's never smoked, you're not interested in smokes, and you see a pack of cigarettes. It's not like you have to resist the urge to grab a cigarette, right? You just don't have any desire or urge for it. And that's how I teach people to get more control over what they're eating or maybe what they're drinking. I don't teach you have to abstain or drink as much as you want. There's certainly a happy medium.
Yeah, you're definitely using the language of substance use disorder and how to heal from that and all of that. I like it.
Yeah.
How do you measure? Let's say you were coaching me. How would you measure? Not me. How would you measure your effectiveness as a coach?
The only thing, and I teach my clients this, the only thing we have control over is how we show up. So my effectiveness is, am I self-coaching? Am I showing up to our appointments open and clear and just listening? And am I asking great questions that are causing you to go into your own brain, which has all of your wisdom, in answering those questions? So if I got tied up with whether or not you did the work, then I would feel defeated if you weren't doing your work, right? So all I can do is provide you with all the tools I have, show up to our sessions on time. Like, that's the basic, right? Just show up on time. Yeah. And just be that person. That's how I judge my effectiveness. And more tangibly, I have a system where I do after I do anything, I'll say what worked, what didn't work, and what will I do different. So free of judgment.
Yeah. So, I meet a lot of life coaches, right? LinkedIn is full of them, and they're from all over the world trying to connect with me and change me and all this stuff. And sometimes they're like, I don't know, 23 years old. And that might seem old to some viewers, but, what do you think about that? Like people just jumping in and wanting to be a life coach. I mean, you've got some certifications, you've got a system you're developing, you're speaking a language of psychology and substance use and or addiction. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have some thoughts on that. First, I don't want to change my client. I'm there for my client, right? Like I teach my clients, you're perfect exactly as you are. Now, what do you want to do from there, right? So as humans, we want to grow and change and evolve. That's what we like. That's what we want to do.
Can I stop and applaud right now? Because nobody needs to be fixed.
No, exactly. But as you mentioned, someone getting into life coaching early, I say, like, one of my analogies is like, I don't need my oncologist to have had cancer if they have the tools and to help me heal from my cancer. So I think, if they know what they're doing, the measure is if you're getting results as the client, right? Are they able to provide results, be there and be that person? So I think, it's all about what is their program? How do they approach life coaching? And so I think if you want to consult with a 23-year-old life coach, I say go for it, right? Have a consultation, see if it's a good fit.
All right. So I always want to be an author. Like I want to write a book, but I never felt like I had enough experiences. And now I've got too many, so I'm never going to write anything, but I've got all kinds of excuses. But when I was really young, I would write a lot, but I was like, this is shit. I'm not old enough to know how to write this type of stuff I want to write. And so I always wanted more experience, but I might have been wrong, huh?
Yeah, because your thought was, I don't have enough experience. And our brains want to go to that big, vague place instead of saying, okay, well, what's enough? You're like, oh, I don't know. And so you just had a thought, Erin. First of all, I want to say it's never too late. Like we could totally, if you want to write, I'll coach you, Jerry.
I'm old, decrepit. I don't know. So, websites, promotion. How does somebody reach out to you if they want to?
So I have a Facebook page and my Instagram is at Melanie McNamara Coaching. I have a website, melaniemcnamara.com. I like to just say I'm willing to be a beginner. I made that website myself, and I call it my jankety little website, but that's in a loving way. But so they can find me on Facebook, Instagram, website. I have a YouTube channel. I put a ton of videos up on my YouTube channel, Melanie McNamara Coaching, and of course, they can just send a message. And I also have a Facebook group where I go live every week, and we work on different things every month. Last month, it was all about losing weight. This month, it's about your relationship with yourself. I think everything we do starts with our relationship with ourselves.
So I put a couple links in the comments here, and I'll promote that when I promote the show a little bit more later today too, so that we make sure that people can reach out to you. What is it? Is it a WordPress or is it a?
Yeah, it's WordPress.
What? All right, that's a good start. That's better than Square, I think. You want to go on to what your mission is? Why are you doing this? What's your mission?
Yeah, so I've thought about that a lot. I've done some work through life coaching on what's your purpose and everything. And I've come down to, to inspire other people to live their one wild and precious life to the fullest by sharing my story and living by example. We have one life, right? Live it well. Don't let those fears and doubts hold us back.
And we have zero idea of how much time we have left.
So, yeah, right. We think we're going to wake up in the morning and do our thing, or we get diagnosed with cancer and then we don't know. We think life is uncertain, but the thing is, like, life is always uncertain. It's just we don't think about it all the time until there's a pandemic or we get diagnosed with something, right?
Yeah. I get frustrated when everyone's trying to predict everything and project management and stuff like that. And I'm like, just let it go, man. We live in chaos. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
So what do you do every damn day to kind of push your mission forward?
Yeah. So every day I have a practice. I have like a belief plan, and I really like to just focus on my clients, my current clients, my potential future clients, and then people who are never even going to be my client. I have, like I said, I put a bunch of videos on YouTube. I'm just there to spread the message that your emotional life is all in your control, and you don't have to suffer through life, no matter what your circumstances are.
Yeah, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So we daisy chain these shows together. And yesterday on the show, I had Jenna, I was almost called her McShane, but McShane Photography, Jenna Hovey.
Mm-hmm.
And her question to you is, what are you most excited to do now that the pandemic's kind of winding down?
Well, I didn't travel last summer. I went to the beach for 10 minutes last summer. I went to Lake Michigan for 10 minutes and there was just so many people. I was like, okay, I think I'm going to leave. I got nervous. So now just the traveling, I am a Michigan girl born and raised, and just jumping in my car and heading up the West Coast, or maybe heading somewhere new over on the East Coast, up to the UP, anywhere, just doing a little more traveling like that.
You going to go Jeep on Drummond Island?
I've never done that before. I haven't, but I do love kayaking and boating and those kind of things.
And what a great state to live in for that.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I've got a longtime friend of mine. I've known him for over 20 years. He's a software guy now. Him and I actually were in the room when the USDA was writing the National Organic Program. So he has expertise in organic food and organic farmers. He used to work for California Certified Organic Farmers, which if you eat organic food and read the labels, you would have heard of them before. Mm-hmm. And now he owns a software company. What would you like me to ask him?
Oh, I'm just blown away. I can't wait to see it tomorrow. So let me ask him, when was the last time you blew your own damn mind with what you
what does that even mean? I think I'm going to need you to answer that so I can try to get that wrapped around my own head.
I love that. So I like to celebrate wins with my clients, right? Like, what are we celebrating this week? So it could be something as small as I created a habit that I wanted to create, and now I just don't even think about it. And suddenly you realize, I just blew my mind. I've been getting up at 6 a.m. every day, and that was my goal. Or I've been working out every day, or whatever your goal might have been, and you've developed a habit. So it might be something really small like that, or maybe something big like, I think about getting my life coach certification, like changing my career at 51, and just like I kind of blow my mind with just the things that I've done in the last few years that I never thought was possible for me.
All right. Now I finally have an answer.
Yeah.
So do you ask people that question a lot?
Not necessarily in that form, but like I said, yeah, I love to ask people, when was the last time you celebrated yourself? And I'm going to say, especially women, we are not used to celebrating ourselves and just, yay me, right? Like, I did this thing. We oftentimes will accomplish a goal and then be like, okay, what's the next goal? Instead of just taking a minute, drinking it in, right? Loving on yourself. So I do like to make sure people are really celebrating, loving, just radical self-love is my jam.
Radical self-love is my jam. I like that. I'm going to have to write that down. So happiness, sadness, joy, or hope. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I want to say that, again, being willing to feel all the emotions is the fuel for your life. So I like to feel sad because I can drink it in. I call it a clean emotion, right? It's a clean emotion, and it's when we resist feeling that's when we cause our suffering. I love happiness. I think of happiness as more external. Like we find pleasure in drinking a nice hot cup of coffee or whatever it might be, and I forget what was the other one.
Joy and hope.
Hope. I think of hope I love hope. I love feeling hopeful, but I feel it like it's a very passive feeling. Like I hope they create a cure for cancer, but it's not within, I don't choose to have it within my control other than donating to places that find cures for cancer. And so I choose joy because joy is a very internal feeling. You can create your own joy. And I know this because I would lay in my bed when I was so sick from chemo and I couldn't move. And half the time I could barely open my eyes. And I would just look out the window and see the trees rustling in the breeze. And I would just feel joy thinking about lots of things. I would create my own joy through my thoughts.
Yeah, I added joy to the list at some point because people kept saying that, and I kept thinking that's what I think happiness is. And you're like the second one in the last week who's talked about joy being this internal thing and happiness being this external thing. I got to re-examine this.
Yeah, you can definitely create your own happiness as well. But I think in terms of how most of us look at happiness, we think, oh, it makes the circumstances make me happy. It makes me happy when the sun's out, right? Or my dog makes me happy, or, this cup of tea makes me happy. When we don't realize so much that it is your thought about it.
I have a speech I did once that I was really proud about that, do you know what high caliber carding is in the Meridian Mall?
I adore them. Shout out to High Caliber. They rock. They're awesome.
Okay. So at their ribbon cutting, I spoke, and they call it their North Star measure is creating joy for people. And I talked about how, to me, the little wins of joy can create an overall happiness. But if you're going forward with joy, you get happier, is what I thought. I'm going to re-examine it. But then joy, these little sparks of joy, keep hope alive, and they build on hope. Because I often say hope is the last to die. I think it's an old Russian phrase or something like that. Yeah. And that joy was some sort of facilitator in the middle between hope and happiness. Yeah. I don't know. I got to look at this all now.
No, but here's the thing, Jerry. I'm all for it. We get to believe anything we want.
Which is obvious of all of 2020.
Yeah, so much. So believe, I say whatever feels good, whatever feels useful to you is beautiful. And there's so many ways to look at it. I love it all.
Yeah. I've often had a theory that everything is true and therefore everything is false. Mm-hmm. And I use the earth used to be flat. Mm-hmm. For all intents and purposes, everybody believed it. It was a shared knowledge, and they made decisions to not do stuff because of that. Yeah. But now the earth is round. Will it be flat again someday? What are we going to discover? So
I could talk for hours with you on this. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I know nothing. That's what I know.
Exactly. And then we could just make up everything. Everything's just a story we tell ourselves.
Yeah. That's true.
Tell a good one about you and who you are. Right?
See, that's key, isn't it? Because often we talk to, oh, you dumbass, or you bastard, or you whatever. Well, these are my words. I guess I'm projecting out right now. But what if I really screwed that up? And you can choose to talk to yourself differently, right?
100%. I used to say, oh, that's so stupid. And I would say that's so stupid about myself all the time. And slowly I blew my own damn mind because I realized one day I haven't said that to myself in months. And so it's a process. We think it's just the truth. Like that was stupid. No, it wasn't. That's your thought.
That's deserving of an applause too, right?
Fuck that noise.
So as I start to wrap up here, did we forget to talk about anything?
I am committed to doing a daily class through the rest of the month of June. It's called Losing Weight for the Last Time. I work on, I think I said this in the beginning, but I help you lose your your physical, mental, and emotional weight. The weight of other people's opinions too. And but this class is all about what I talked about earlier about the overhunger and the over desire. So I have a different times every day. So I have it posted on my Facebook page and my Instagram. So feel free to go there and just sign up. It's in webinar format. So I say, come as you are. You won't be on screen.
All right. So I'm definitely going to be promoting that and putting that in the comments. And it's free to watch and all that, or do you have to be?
You just log in just like this, right? They just start watching.
All right. I'm going to find one and watch one. You don't do them at 2 every day, do you?
No, I have different, because I decided I would do it every single day. Here's the thing. I wanted to get consistent with something and blow my own damn mind that I could show up every day and do a class and get better each time, right? That's what we do. I'm always willing to be a beginner. I love being a beginner. I would never have done all these videos and things if I wasn't willing to just hit play on the first, record on the first one. So anyway, yeah, so they're at different times.
Yeah. So 284 days ago, I woke up and said, I want to do some sort of podcast or something like that. And that was at 9 a.m. We have a morning scrum where we actually ask the 3 questions that you said earlier. What did we do yesterday? What did we do today? And what do we need help with? You didn't quite ask them that, but, and so that afternoon we did our first Every Damn Day. We skipped a Sunday or 2, and then we've done it pretty steady ever since.
Yeah.
And it's been a nightmare. No.
Well, it's been 50-50, right? It's been amazing and it's been really hard, which makes it amazing, right? You're not willing to do the hard thing. Be willing to do the hard things, right? You're so inspiring for doing.
Well, thank you for that. But without hell, you can have no heaven, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So thank you so very much. This was very interesting, and I love your perspective on so many angles of looking at life and looking at, the challenges that we face and really getting to, I guess, maybe a root cause. I don't want to put that in your language.
We get to the root cause of what's going on for you. Why haven't you built your business as big as you want? Why haven't you, what's up with your relationship? I have a whole different spin on relationships and how we look at them, right? Why haven't you lost the weight? Let's take a look with so much compassion and love for yourself and figure that out.
Yeah. Well, I think you're great. We'll be checking out your site. We'll be sharing it on the Fledge and all of that. So thank you for coming on the show, Melanie. And everyone, tomorrow we'll be right back at it at 2 p.m. with Jake Lewin coming out of Santa Cruz. And what would you like to take us out with?
Oh, I totally forgot. What was I going to take you out with? I want to just say again, when you take full responsibility of your own emotional life with your own thoughts and feelings, your life explodes. And I just want to offer that to you, that we have agency over how we think and feel, which, bad news, other people do too. So we can't make other people do anything. I wish we could, but we can't.
But the one thing you can control is your circle of influence, your circle of concern, things like that.
Yeah.
So take ownership for it, take responsibility for it, because somebody else might not, or they might not be there for you when you need them to be. So extreme ownership, especially within yourself. You agree with that?
I love that. Extreme ownership, 100%. I love it.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right, stick with me for 1 second. See y'all later. Bye-bye.